put a message on the message board. And there are already people on. I see Joanne Hopkins saying good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Uh, I see Mayor Rodney Jones saying good afternoon to Mr. Mayor, uh, saying good afternoon, my shepherd. He's saying he has no sound. Is our sound right? Oh, all right. Do you hear us now, Mr. Mayor? Because they're telling me it's all right here. All right. We have a lot of things that we want to talk about, and I think that you need to weigh in. I've been asked, I did about 6 television shows, yes, press conference, and most of this show. And the overwhelming answer, I mean, sorry, the overwhelming question was what is the legacy of Jesse Jackson? And his legacy to me may be different than others because of my having been close to him since I was a kid or youngster. And so I knew and know his legacy personally, what he meant to me. But what he meant to the world and the nation was different. Obviously, the inroads he made in politics helped elect black mayors. He was instrumental in Dave Dinkins in New York. After after Jesse Jackson won the city of New York when he ran for president in '88, we believed the next year in '89 we could win for mayor. And he helped register those voters. He helped in Chicago in '93 elect Harold Washington. He directly helped many mayors around the country. And then on to blacks that went in the Senate and the black that became president. That's one legacy. Continuing the movement around corporate accountability, Operation Breadbasket, into push. So legacy. The I am somebody. Young lady asked me on TV last night, what did I am somebody mean? So I want to give you an opportunity to tell me what you think the legacy of Jesse Jackson is and what you think of him. When you think of him, what comes to mind? I did British Broadcasting Company this morning for London, and they asked me 2 stories that come to mind when I think of Reverend Jackson. I said, well, a lot of that's personal. I don't know whether I can do it, justice, just name it too. But I'm gonna ask you, tell me what comes to mind with you. Juju Power Saint says, up, y'all took him off too quick. Juju Power, okay, there it is. What an honor of a tribute of a partner, best friend, brother, friend that can speak on Reverend Jackson's legacy. Yes. Christopher Jeremiah says Reverend Jesse Jackson was a trailblazer and opened several doors for our black leaders to walk through. God bless you and the Jackson family. Hopefully, he will get a street in shine after him. I'm sure they're going to do that. I can't imagine them not doing that. And it absolutely. Now, other than that, I want to hear from you on Reverend Jackson's legacy. 12 Democrats have announced they plan to boycott Donald Trump's State of the Union address. At least 12 people, Democrats, will boycott the address on next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, a week from yesterday, is the State of the Union address by Trump. and instead they will attend a counter rally on the National Mall. Move On and others are having a counter rally. And the 12 members include Senator Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, Chris Murphy, Tina Smith of Minnesota, Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, Yasmin Ansari, Becca Pallant, Greg Caesar, Veronica Escobar, Congresswoman Jaya Powell, Ramirez, and Bonnie Watson Coleman. So what do you think of those that are boycotting the State of the Union? Should they be in there and give them the mean eye, or should they boycott and walk out? Several lawmakers are saying that. They don't want to normalize his presidency, and this new act that he has put forward that really is nothing but a voter ID law that we defeated last time. Now requiring all kinds of ID and all. So he's coming straight at that. We see the deportation efforts now beginning to target other places. We see his tariffs have caused the average American consumer money. I think one of the think tank groups come back and said 90% of what the tariffs cost is going to the American consumer. So there's great reason to raise issues with his administration. Question is, do you think it is more effective to boycott him and not go to the State of the Union, or to go there and sit on your hands, not clap for nothing, and stand up to him? So let's talk about that. State of the Union is next week. The other thing happening next week is, of course, there's the schedule from, thank you, Coretta Monk. Coretta Monk's calling in, saying good morning from Los Angeles, California. Good to have you on, Coretta. They scheduled next week also for the testimony on the Epstein case by Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts next week. And at the same time, in between time, anybody interested in our issues? Inflation is high, cost of living is up, blacks are doubly unemployed. Now they're talking about setting up barriers so that our vote is more difficult to use. Anybody gonna talk about our issues? No, we need to talk about it. And we need to talk about it with all that we have. Well, Rev Al, they ain't paying us no mind. That's why we marched. That's why we got in their face. That's why we had civil disobedience. They never did pay us any mind. We had to make them pay us some mind. So let's talk about all of this. Let me take a break. I'll go right to the phones. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what are you doing National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. MS Now, formerly MSC, and certainly with the State of the Union address coming next Tuesday, I'm going to have members of Congress that are both boycotting and those that are going, and ask them why you won't miss this. And we are going to also, of course, deal with the legacy of Jesse Jackson. And I'm going to deal with where are we in restoring the whole of affordable care. Nobody's talking about it. And one of the things that I'm determined not to follow the news cycle, but to change the news cycle, make news have to deal with us. So I want everybody to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, Saturday Action Rally will be dedicated to Reverend Jackson. We call it the Keep Hope Alive Rally. The last time he spoke in Harlem last year, he could hardly stand up. He spoke at National Action Network Saturday Rally. We've invited many elected officials to come pay tribute. I want everybody, whether you've been to a Saturday rally or not, meet us at Mother AME Zion Church. We have no room for everybody there. It's bigger than our old headquarters. And, well, the new one we transitioned into is about that size. But be at Mother AME Zion, all of New Jersey, all of New York, all of Connecticut, to honor the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Mother AME Zion, 140 West 137th Street in the Harlem community, in Harlem. And of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, and you can watch it live on YouTube/NAN or on the nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. And of course, the National Action Network Convention, we still have about 300 seats left for pre-registration. I'm pre-registering 5,000. I'm going to hold 5,000 or 6,000 for our students and our chapters and all. If you have not pre-registered, you should do so now, because if we get to that 5,000 mark, I'm closing it down. And unless you come in as a student at one of the from our HBCU tour, or that you come in with the chapter, you will not have a priority seat if places are full. So make sure you go, if you haven't gone, go to the website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and sign up. All the sessions and workshops are free. You need to be in the house. And I can tell you, I've not dropped names of people, but you won't be disappointed. But the midterm elections, and then you got the Trump, and even the right vote, and with our economic conditions, and we're dealing with criminal justice matters, all of these reasons. When you have a president that says outright he's going to end diversity, equity, and inclusion, outright we don't need black history books, outright saying that let's take down the slavery pictures from the original White House in Philly. We need to convene. You need to be in the house. Remember, what could I do? That's why you come to conventions, to find out what you can do. Get the knowledge and understanding. April 8th through the 11th. April 8th through the 11th. Sheraton, New York, Times Square. Sign up and be there. Those that sign up will get the schedules of events and the people doing them next, first. But you first got to sign up, and we know what to do. I'm going to take calls 1-877 532-5797, 1-877 532-5797. Clean the board and then post for me. All right, I think we good now. And I think that we all also will be taking postings on the message page at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's go to Kai, Brooklyn, New York. Kai?
Good, Reverend Al Sharpton. This is Kai, poet that attends the rally Saturday.
Okay.
I want to say condolences for your loss of the family. We know that your family as well. I want to say I remember Reverend Jackson as an eloquent speaker who knew how to articulate himself and an orator as well. Well, like I say that he's a well-respected man because he wanted himself to be remembered as someone, whether it was intentional or not intentional, that if he was associated with any anti-Semitic speech in any way, that he wanted it to be clear. And that's what we wanted for this president, is that if it was intentional or non-intentional, to clear up that he didn't feel that way, that blacks were apes. All of that's all he had to do was clear it up that he didn't feel that way. And also, Reverend Jackson made it very clear that he is imperfect. So anything that was said about him, just know to give God the praises and to know that God is God and that he is not perfect. So we want to clear that and understand that he was not a perfect man, but he is a godly man. So he shall wear a robe, and I will always respect him for that. And just want to say that the world will be greatly missing him, and that he is a well-respected man. And that also, it is not in our time, but it is God's time. And I think that's why Trump wanted it to be known that he was a friend of Jackson's, because he felt like a fool for what he didn't clear up.
I thank you for your call, and Kai, thank you for your being at the rallies on Saturday. And you are correct. Reverend Jackson was a godly man, and none of us are perfect. But if we can be godly and seek perfection. He used to sing a song when I was a kid in church, if I never reach perfection, Lord, I tried. As long as you know you tried, God knows he will bless when you do. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex. A new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't pride by what you don't have. Use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
Went to the highfalutin Ivy League schools. But it meant something to me. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton for the month of February, Black History Month. The Saturday Action Rally will be at went to the highfalutin Ivy League schools. But it meant something to me on welfare, watching mama scrub floors, for somebody to tell me I was somebody. You may not have needed that, but I needed that. And then all through my life, seeing him open doors. When you see me talking about Brittany Griner, it's because I learned how he went and got Robert Goodman, different situation. But it taught us that we could deal with global issues. We're not local Negroes. We're global thinkers that can talk to heads of state. And before we go off the air, I didn't know he was coming, but we got to hear some words while y'all watching on Impact Television from our leader, our mentor, the one who picked up the mantle when they shot Dr. King down. It dropped in his hands. He's been leading ever since. Let us hear some words from the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Come on, y'all can do better than that.
That didn't work. Say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me. Protect me. Don't neglect me. My mind is a pearl. I don't anything in the world. I'm God's child. I'm God's child. I am something. Let me hear you scream. I almost negotiated a deal with SeaWorld and Sesame Place, but they're doing our children. They wasn't focused on how much money we're going to get the deal for them, how many positions of power we're going to get. And there's a black on the board who owns 40% of the stock in the company there. The lawyer is a guy who was on the legal defense fund, a brilliant lawyer. So the blacks, minorities now are 60% of the company. It's about changing the circumstances in which we live. I want to express my thanks to you, Al, for being a part of that negotiation, being part of that process. We said this one action in the South, doing a lot of voter registration right now. Texas, 675,000 blacks unregistered, and 1.7 Latinos unregistered. In Arkansas, 380,000 blacks unregistered. So Latinos about 410,000 unregistered. In Georgia, 535,000. Well, my point is that people should be registered to vote. It's part of this situation. So I should be a registered voter because I'm an American. The registration should be automatic. You shouldn't have to pay a poll tax to register to vote. You have to go from in the country in Little Rock, you got to go 30 miles to register to vote. And that's today did not. That office they're mobile. You have to go back home and go back another day. We must fight for the right of registration, which is American citizenship. Talk to me, somebody. As the Trump was trying to restrict votes, we're going to expand it. You're age 18, you're drafted for the military, pay FICA taxes, automatically, right? We're going to fight for people to have the automatic right to vote. Nice, y'all support that proposition?
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration.
Yes, sir.
Automatic registration. Now, in other words, you take the pain out. I was my person, I often tell the story. My grandma was not going to vote for me. If she didn't love me, grandma couldn't read and write. Never schooled in life. And when she did the mail, Mom and I had to take her downtown kicking, register for her son to vote. She got through asking questions, which she didn't want to do, and make an X and walk away. He had dropped down. She had to make an X. There's about people have to make X's. Cleveland, Ohio today is 51%, 52% African American, 61% of them are illiterate, 25% never finished high school. So many of our people are behind on reading, writing, and counting. You hear me now? So Al, we want to send a movement around the country, everywhere we go, fighting for automatic voter registration. And what it means is that if you put that many blacks on the books, you have politics toward that. You have maybe 700,000 Latinos on the votes in Texas, 700,000 blacks.
579718257. Let's go right back to the phone. Let me go that activist extraordinaire from Chi-Town in the Windy City, but she's a win all by herself, Sister Pam. Pam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Just thinking about you, I know your dear friend is gone. Thinking about the Jackson children and Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson. Her life partner, the love of her life, is no longer here. At least the physical the presence, but the spiritual is always with them. And we're mourning here in Chicago. Make no doubts about it. We know that there will be many celebrations of Reverend Jackson's life, but the human part of us will miss him. And that's where the tears come from. You ask about his life. Just one thing that just stands out for me is his complete devotion and dedication to poor and working class people, trying to uplift those who weren't born with the silver spoons or maybe in a middle class, upper middle class family. He talked about where he came from, where he was born,
right,
to a teenage mother. And then I apply that, Reverend Sharpton, to the fact that we have so many teenage mothers who have given birth. So we want to castigate them when if we pour love and resources into them, we could have multiple Reverend Sharptons,
right,
and Reverend Jackson. So just the love he had for the poor and the dignity which he said they needed to just be respected and treated with, and their resources to build them up, not only Black people, but all over this world. And I thank him for that, because that means something to me growing up in a single household, mom struggling to make ends meet. And then people saying, because I live on the west side of Chicago, that we weren't going to be much. See, that resonates with me.
right.
And that we weren't going to be intelligent. And many people still think that about the west side of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
But he lifted everybody up, and I'm thankful for that. Also, he talked about Reverend Shaw. We have to keep his legacy of push alive. And I come on here consistently and I say, are we using our dollars to get memberships, to donate? And I mean that. I do that in my own practice. It takes money to fund what Reverend Jackson did and his legacy will continue to do, and what you do, the NAACP. And we may have our disagreements, but are we going to continue these legacies that are on the forefront of fighting fascism?
Right.
Now, and I'm just asking people, what are we going to do to make sure those legacies stay alive? Now, regarding the elected officials, here's what I think. The Democratic elected officials, the leadership, they should attend. This is what I think. The rest of the body should, in fact, be somewhere else protesting or holding a meeting. And the reason why I'm saying this, Reverend Sharpton, I'm going to say this, the adjudicated sexual abuse in the White House not only has the probability of being a child rapist, but has a direct relationship with the biggest sex trafficker in this world. That's one. But next, there were points in history. Hitler didn't start off as the Führer and the ultimate, destructor of the Jewish people and other people. Hitler murdered almost 100,000 people he thought were unworthy because they had physical challenges or intellectual challenges, what he called the unwanted.
Right.
So right now we're in the midst of the beginning of a fascist state. We have someone who was an admirer of Hitler. We cannot normalize this. And I understand that there's a question, well, do we respect the presidency and not the man? I think it's just time out for that. This man is in that office, and we have to show our disdain. And I want to make a biblical reference because the Bible identifies enemies, and you know this more than anybody, Reverend Sharpton. Now, it also instructs us as Christians how we should deal with enemies. And I can go along with that. But nowhere does it say that we can't show our opposition to enemies, for me, in a respectful manner. And at some point, our elected officials have to look at this as the beginning stages of a Hitler regime. And that should then dictate their actions politically, their votes, and how they behave. I'm not saying hate him, because I don't want to, put that out there. But I'm saying we have to stand firm to what is going on. So I'd like to see the leadership, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer, and the other leadership. Yeah, you go. But the rest of the body should be absent and doing official protests. Also talking about as the lies come up in the State of the Union, they should be present with the truth. We know people are starving still. We know we still don't have health care. We know that he has a hate for anybody other than white men. And so I think we have to stand in our truth with that. But, and I'm saying that, Reverend Sharpton, because I think that would be one of the things that Reverend Jackson would want to do. Now, he might not agree, with my position totally. And once again, I'm not saying hate anybody. But we have to show our opposition to this child rapist best friend and to this admirer of Hitler. We cannot normalize it. And I don't want to see it normalized. But I want to see us support the opposition, and that's our churches, our civil rights organizations, our leaders. And I want to see us take a stand against this, not only for us, but for our children. And that takes, the millionaires who are not absorbed in that sex trafficking ring, where are their dollars and money?
Right.
Because the Heritage Foundation, they're getting all they want from billionaires.
Right.
So our billionaires and millionaires need to fund PUSH, Rainbow PUSH, National Action Network, the NAACP, Urban League. It's more than enough for these wealthy Black people to pour financial resources into the work that we need to do, because we're in a fight. And I just think our Heavenly Father is asking us, what are you going to do in this moment?
Right.
Because a lot of people in Hitler's day didn't do anything. Many of them went along with him thinking it's going to get better. Well, let's just try to placate. Let's not, make any waves. And look what Hitler rose to and what he did. So they
let themselves be lured into it'll take care of itself. It never does.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Or it won't get that bad because somehow there will be some limit. He was limitless in his evilness, his debauchery. And we have the same thing coming out of the White House.
No doubt about it. And I think that it is absolutely outrageous that some of us sit up and act like it doesn't mean anything. It means everything.
Everything. And Reverend Jackson, like I said, he never operated out of hate. You don't. But he stood for what he knew was right. And there is a right and a wrong. There is a evil and a good in our midst. And if you don't know what it is, then I'm going to say, God help you.
You're right.
Clear.
You're right.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton, and condolences to you and your family. I heard, I believe it was Ebony, talk about her godfather,
Mm,
your mentor, your friend. And so
mm.
I know if we feel the way we do, I know how you feel. Let me just, I can only imagine how you feel. And condolences to all of those who had those close relationships with Reverend Jackson.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me just have that say. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton.
All right. Thank you. And I really appreciate your expression. Let me go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev. Before I get to Jesse Jackson, and I want you to enlighten me on him. But you ever heard the term "go big or go home"?
Yeah, I've heard that
Now,
term.
these twelve Democrats thinking about boycotting the State of the Union address. Why only 12? Why not all of them? That's something that the Republicans would do if the shoe was on the other foot. Now, the 6 Democrats that that told the military you don't have to obey unlawful orders. Why 6? Why not all 47 Democrat senators? You know, it was easy for Trump to pick off only 6 and try to indict them. But imagine what would have happened if all 47 decided in the Senate decided to say the same thing. So that's why I say the Republicans will do it. The Democrats, they think kind of small. That's why I said you either go big or you go home. Now, when it comes to Jesse Jackson, now enlighten me on a few things. I could be wrong, but I watched that documentary on Andrew. What's his name?
Andrew Young.
Andrew Young. Okay, and my take on it. It's been a while since I've seen it. It made it seem like he was next up. You know, that's how what I remember. He was next in line, but Jesse Jackson was right by Martin Luther King's side. At what point did they decide? The people decide to follow Jesse and not Andrew Young.
No,
I'm kind of curious about it.
I think that Andrew Young became involved as the documentary show in SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, King's organization, in the early 60s, around 63, 64. He'd already been doing some work for them with the Council of Churches in the same building, I believe, in Atlanta. And when Wyatt T. Walker left from being executive director of SCLC and went to Harlem to pastor Canaan Baptist Church, eventually became chairman of the board of our organization. So that's why I know all this. Andy Young then was hired, and Jesse never got in SCLC officially till 66 when King went to Chicago. So Andrew Young was there 3 or 4 years before Jesse. The person that was supposed to take over if something happened to King in the Constitution was Abernathy, Reverend Abernathy. Andy Young might have been behind him. Jesse was the youngest man on staff. When Dr. King went to Chicago and was dealing with open housing, that's when he hired Jesse. Jesse had gone to Selma as a student, but Dr. King didn't know him and he wasn't on their staff. But the next year, 66, he did become part of the Chicago staff. And then in 67, he became part of the national staff. And a few months later, Dr. King was killed. So Andrew Young was there longer, and Abernathy was the one supposed to be the next guy. People gravitated toward Jesse in Chicago. And when there was a difference in SCLC, he left and formed Operation Push. The people decide who they want to decide. It's not up to organizational changes to tell you who they're going to go with. So that's how that happened. And I lived through a lot of that because by the time Jesse left, I was the youth director in New York. I left when he left because I was more committed to Jesse than the other guys because they were down south. I didn't know them. All right, let's take a break. Good question, though. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Shopton. 1-877-532-5797. Be right back. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. For the month of February, Black History Month, the Saturday Action Rally will be at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street, between Lenox and 7th Avenues from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're glad as we transition into our new headquarters. Our 4 Saturdays of Black History Month, we'll be doing those rallies at Mother AME Zion. Stand on historic ground, holy ground, where Frederick Douglass spoke, where Madam C.J. Walker was funeralized, where Sojourner Truth had a Underground Railroad come through. I'm so excited about being there as it prepares us to move on to our new headquarters. Let's go back and stand on the rock that our people stood on for decades.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The 2 most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, He didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive on tomorrow night and beyond. Young America, hold your head high now. We can win. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream. Face pain. But love, hope, faith, and dreams will help you rise above the pain. Use hope and imagination as weapons of survival and progress, but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. Dream of teachers who teach for life and not for living. Dream of doctors who are concerned more about public health than private wealth. Dream of lawyers more concerned about justice and the judgeship. Dream of preachers who are concerned more about prophecy than profiteering. Dream on the high road with sound values.
Keeping it real.
Must never surrender to inequality.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on our message board and you can write on the message board a message and I'll read it. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream on our message board. Like Debbie Idell Parnell is writing on the message board. I'm from Greenville, Alabama, a very small town 45 miles from Montgomery, Alabama. My mom was in the movement. She was beaten, and back in 2020, back in 1920, I had walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge for her and keep hope alive. Well, that's the thing to do, Debbie. We walk across that bridge every year for your mother and others that paid a price. And I think that it is a message that needs to be sent every year. As I walk across that bridge, it just does something to me to walk in the footsteps of those that paved the way for us. And absolutely right. I see the Mayor Rodney Jones, Mayor of Queensbridge Houser, says some act like Reverend Sharpton just came on the scene. He proudly tells this story of his evolution. He's been carrying the mantle. You must have been under a rock. I don't know who he's talking to, but yeah, I've been out here a long time. Reverend Jackson and Reverend Jones appointed me the head of the youth department of Operation Breadbasket in New York when I was 1969, and so I've been out here since then, never stopped. So, but you know, Mr. Mayor, a lot of people when they act like you knew, it's because they knew, and they didn't know. They just showed up and they act like, you know, all the years that they weren't involved, the stuff wasn't happening. No, you just wasn't involved. But please, I think, and you know, we get into these arguments about who gonna be the leader and who gonna. People should follow who they like. You know, Reverend Jackson. A lot of people. I'm not with Reverend Jackson. And I'm with somebody else. Then somebody else. You know, I saw more people get on me in New York for being with Reverend Jackson because they say he wasn't militant enough. And now they want to tell me how to honor Reverend Jackson. And the same thing happens all the time. Don't even worry about it. Just keep it moving, as we say. James Thomas is asking me on the message board, Reverend Al, did Reverend Jackson participate in the making of Operation Push Choir or the Sons of Truth album in 1972 on Gospel Truth Records? I know there was a Push Choir album out, around 72, because Reverend Jackson left Breadbasket 71, formed Push. That's when I was 16 and I formed National Youth Movement because I didn't stay, because he didn't stay. I was his little youth leader in New York. And so I know that they did have a Push Choir album. I suppose Reverend Jackson had to authorize it, but I don't know if it was on Gospel Truth Records. You're going way back now. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to Still Bill in Cincinnati, Ohio. Still Bill. Still Bill. I do not hear him. All right, let me stay in Cincinnati and go to Ozzy. Ozzy.
Yes, yes. Good day, Bishop. I hope you and the listening audience is doing well.
Doing fine.
I just want to make two quick. I'd like to make two quick points, and one is about Reverend Jackson. I heard something that he said while he was appearing on a TV show, and he says there was two types of people that want to do something. One didn't believe they could make a change, and the other believed that he could make a change, and he sought out to make changes. And I just want to say to the people that if you could positively influence one person, then you're an influencer. We're not all going to be like you, Reverend Sharp or Reverend Jackson, to influence communities in the nation and people around the world. And secondly, I just want to say, I'm so disappointed still with the Democratic Party because I feel like they really thought that the Epstein file was going to really anger white men. But Europeans have been doing this for thousands of years, and it takes, I don't know what it's going to take to get European white men to change their ways and not accept this. Thank you, Bishop.
Yeah, I think that you raised two good points, and I think that you are absolutely right. We are not going to be able to raise one issue or have one magic wand, and that stops everybody on their track and turn around and go with us. We got to do the work. And the work is that we got to get the people in our own community and our own way of looking and doing things to understand that they got to vote. They got to come out and participate in these community meetings. We're leaving more people uninvolved than we are having people involved. So I think that you're absolutely correct there. Did we get Still Bill up?
He's still not good. Let's go to commercial.
All right, let me take my commercial. I'll come back more of you on the phones. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back. Convention targeting companies. He talks specifically about companies. He talks specifically about Operation Breadbasket and our next speaker's role. He has since then and during then bring the movement that started in the South North and urbanized it and expanded it. I came out of that movement. He opened political doors. The downside that people don't give credit to is I've seen at Saturday morning meetings, as we do Saturday morning meetings here, that started in Chicago. He's had to preach while people stood in the audience with guns pointed at him. He ran for president with more threats than any candidate ever had. Facing investigations of nothing, just trying to make something up to scar his name. Would go get Americans that were hostage and land at the airport and reporters asked, who paid the bill? But he is still here, and he is still with us, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. That was great. Thank you. Now we go.
Al, let me alone. I want to express
thanks to God for allowing our family to gather today to engage in meaningful discussion, reflection, and projection. Allowing us to gather the only place we could gather in a relevant African American church. We do not take Pastor Waldron for granted, but we have faced too many locked doors and closed churches from our message. So when a pastor does open up to a meeting like this, don't take this pastor for granted. Pastor Waldron, please stand. I really want to thank God for this connection between this family of panelists today and Reverend Sharpton in a special way, because we must make something theologically clear about the ring of authenticity that you hear in Reverend Sharpton as a bit of connectivity. And when you hear Mrs. Abernathy speak, or Reverend Moss, or Reverend Vivian, there's something so genuine you have to listen, both the language and the message. The Bible says, remove not the ancient landmarks our mothers and fathers have set. When you separate from those landmarks, you are adrift without a sense of historical connection. One thing worse than not reading the scripture, to read it and to misinterpret it. Reverend Sharpton's strength coming out of Bishop Washington's church, Reverend Bill Jones, and out of Breadbasket SCLC, we see it commonly said today that this is now the Joshua generation. That's not true biblically. Joshua came out of Moses' army.
That's right.
Joshua helped to lead the wilderness movement between 60 and 08. That was the Joshua generation. This is the post-Joshua generation. Joshua came out of Moses' army. Right. Those who came out of Dr. King and the Abernathy's army, that's the Joshua generation. There's not a post-Joshua generation. Reverend Al spans the Joshua generation and the post-Joshua. That's why his consciousness would obligate him to put these two panels, because he stands between two generations. He is the connection. Am I making sense to y'all? Because Joshua knew Moses. Those who didn't know Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy can't be Joshua. Those who don't know C.K. Steele can't be Joshua. Those who didn't know Dr. King's father can't be the Joshua generation. This is the Joshua generation. This is the post-Joshua generation. And that connectivity is important. I am a bit perplexed today as I listen to these challenging statements. Dr. King in his last staff meeting, it's also a mistake to keep referring to Dr. King's name solely. That is a huge mistake. Even he knew better. Dr. King said, when I go to the airport, I am a pilot, he said, but on the ground is the ground crew that gets the plane up and gets the plane down. He said, I cannot make it without a co-pilot. I can't fly through storms by myself. And so Ralph Abernathy is my co-pilot. And when I'm sleeping, my co-pilot flies for me. And our last staff meeting before going to Memphis,
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopped. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all no King's marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our... We're back, 1-877-532-5797. We're talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson, what his legacy means to you. We're talking about there are now 12 members of the Congress that say they will boycott next Tuesday's State of the Union address by President Donald Trump. We're talking about where is the fate of the Affordable Care Act and whatever other issues are on your mind. Let me say this. I see that some people got into a discussion last night. It reminded me of when I was a youngster joining the movement. Are you with Martin or Malcolm or who did the most or whatever. And what I tell people then, and I say it now, is that Martin Luther King and Malcolm did two different type of things at the same time that we needed. For example, Dr. King led marches, nonviolence, based out of the church, and changed laws. Civil Rights Act 64, Voting Rights Act 65. Malcolm dealt with building up the self-esteem and pride of black men and women who had been broke down into inferiority complex, gave them structure and discipline, and built businesses. So it's not who did the most. You needed both. We needed our own businesses. We needed our own self-esteem dealt with, and we needed the right to vote and public accommodation. And that's why I tell people in NAN, SCLC dealt with Southern Christian Leadership Conference, getting certain laws and getting public accommodations. It evolved into getting the right to vote. It went from there to Reverend Jackson and them's era of maximizing that vote and getting black mayors and ultimately a black president and blacks in the corporate world. And then it goes to my generation that came up right behind Jesse, trained by Jesse, was to hold them accountable. Whereas it doesn't make sense to have a black mayor if you're not going to have a movement to hold them accountable. We had a black police commissioner in New York under Ed Koch when the cops was beating us on the subways. So Jesse and John Lewis's job was to get us in. Our job was to correct us and hold us accountable once we're in. So any people that want to compare Malcolm to Martin or John Lewis and to Julia Bonner, Jesse and me, show their ignorance. We played different roles at different times in history, different eras. Reverend Jackson, who mentored me, was at his peak under Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton. I operated under Barack Obama and Biden. It's a different era. Different kind of movement to keep a black president accountable without undermining him, like in Trayvon Martin, happened under his watch. And I had to deal with getting Zimmerman indicted. We should have been able to get him convicted had we not had the resistance of the Republicans on that stand your ground line. Had dealt with Eric Garner case. Had to deal with the police brutality choking case in New York. Had to deal with Michael Brown and Ferguson while he was president. So I had to challenge him in the Justice Department and not undermine him and feed him the dogs. Had to deal with Biden. Biden tried to help us with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act without undercutting him. So I look at some of this stuff online. It shows people really just don't know what they're talking about. That's like asking, why didn't Bojangles cut a CD? Because they weren't making CDs then. They can take his music, what it was on, and vinyl and put it on CDs. So trying to compare us to folks that mentored us or trained us is just ignorant and wasting energy. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Spencer in Little Mountain, South Carolina. Spencer.
Yeah, how you doing, Al? You know, I was listening to you explain that situation of how you character actions that people are doing, and you indicated or you pointed out to make sure that you help with making changes. That, you know, a lot of people was mixed up with Malcolm, other stuff, And but anyway, let me just throw something. Me myself, I like making soup every once in a while. And when people start tasting it and digesting it, they find out that it's not bad. Now, Jackson Jr. was an unusual man. I'm glad that I existed in the frame he was. But now here is where I'm going to play with the soup a little bit. Jackson did some marvelous things that where people thought he almost was. But guess what? His God-given private life made us realize he was human. So we still at this time is really disturbed, grateful, and so much want America do what it said do. Now, one guy who is Trump, the president, he right now got a chance to make sure America no further than what it is going to do for everybody. You know, so right now Iran have something that people ain't heard. He said, blowing them warships out the water.
Yeah.
See what Trump going to do. My thing is, once again, was the fact that at this moment in time, I'm one of the people, too, that dropped my head and sorry to hear about Jesse Jackson going. But one thing that was about him that made me understand his humanness was the fact of his family that God gave him, one that caught him. You know, the rough part. Take care.
All right, thank you for your call. And let's go to break. Be right back. Keep it real. Shopton. Be right back.
Time is up.
Time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Somebody got to rise above race, rise above sex. A new leadership, a choice, a chance. Don't pride by what you don't have. Use what you got. Everybody in town was scared of Goliath. We got more and more folk and fewer services. We cannot stop. We got to rise on higher. Little David. Little David. Little David. Took off his unnecessary garments. Little David. Didn't want to get weighted down with a lot of foolishness. Little David. Took what God gave him, a slingshot and a God biscuit, a rock.
Evidence that I take, you will be there. Evidence that I make, we'll be together. Evidence that I take, you will be there. Evidence that I make, we'll be together. Evidence that I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here.
On MS Now, MSNOW used to be MSNBC, and I'm on the phone personally calling people. I wanted to deal with this show both Saturday night and Sunday night. Members of Congress and the Senate, or how they're going to deal with this State of the Union address next Tuesday. I want them on the record in advance. Who's boycotting, who's not, what are those that are going to it, what are they going to do? What are they going to want to hear, and what are they going to do if they hear the wrong thing? So I want to talk about that. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I want to talk about the continued government partial shutdown. So Politics Nation with Al Sharpton is going to be live this weekend. Make sure you tune in both days, Saturday and Sunday, on MS Now at, as I said, at 5 p.m. Also, I want to urge you to make sure that you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. This week will be a memorial for Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I want everybody to be there. We've asked all the elected officials to come and give a statement memorializing Reverend Jesse Jackson. The last speech he made in Harlem was at Saturday Action Rally, National Action Network. We're going to have this rally. It'll be live on Impact Television, live on our nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. Be at the rally Saturday to the New York salute to Reverend Jesse Jackson. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Mother AME Zion Church. Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street between 7th and Lenox in Harlem. And again, you that are coming to the National Action Network Convention, and it will be the convention of the year. It is going to really energize people from around the country that are coming in for the midterm election. It is really going to deal with our educational problems, our criminal justice problems, our political problems, and how we deal with this new legislation on voter ID and all. Register now before I drop the names of who's coming. You're going to want to be there. All the sessions are free. All you have to do is go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number, and they'll register you on the phone, 1-877-626-4651. Let me go to Chevy Chase, Maryland, my dear friend, Miss Richardson. Miss Richardson, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, good afternoon, my dear. How are you today, Red?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, fine. I know you're getting preparations for the great one that we all lost. I feel so hurt because he was a man, and he was a true humanitarian, is how I saw Reverend Jackson. You know, he really was trying to get all people to see that we're all the same. Excuse me, got a little cold. But see, in this government, I'm trying to tell all of you, I've told you many times, Rev, I've been calling you for years. They said that those people are in, you know, they're in their place that way with people that they feel are inferior. They even think Jewish people are inferior, really. But because of Jewish people being disciplined enough to do for themselves, when they came to this country, then they honored them better. They honored, the word honored, see, better, these Anglo-Saxons, because they had one on the other night on public television where you was on there too with Reverend Jackson, and the film was trying to be dedicated to his life. And your participation, your greatness was there, and your involvement with the many paths that Reverend Jackson had to go through. And, you know, it was this man's resilience, really, too, because they were putting him down in the government. They had the thing on Andrew Young, in the former ambassador to the UN, right? Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So what I'm trying to say, Red, is this. You know, I know you got a lot of people, but you see, it's called immunity. You may not agree, but why is it that the government, from this three of the judicial branch, the executive branch, and that other branch, why have they been silent, Rev? I mean, why aren't they tasking to go after this man in the White House? I don't even like to say his name. To me, Miss Richardson, you know, fooling with Miss Richardson, you know, I can't say words what I feel about that monster. But you see, we've got to get votes. I'm not saying all, Rev, but I'm saying the collective body, there's just too many of us that's not disciplined in their homes. Their children are going haywire, cutting their clothes all up, showing their rear ends in the back. These girls, and even the whites, they're copycatting up what these whites do. They do all that stuff. When you look at what they did in the what was that white, where the hippies or whatever they were doing in the 60s, all that arrived from white or Anglo-Saxon folks. You know, I guess they had some white Jewish people participating, I guess, too. I don't know. I'm not going to, you know, Jewish people are not monolithic. Let's get that straight. But most are democratic. Now, Am I right or wrong? We're there about Jewish people.
Well, I think a lot of them have gone Republican. I think you're right that they're not monolithic, just like black folks are not monolithic.
Right. But I'm saying many of the Jewish folks, they will vote Democratic over Republican around. You know that.
Well,
you know.
in some cases, because I've seen in other cases, like in New York, like in Chicago, it's going to the candidate.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, like you're saying, yeah. Well, it depends on the person, but you see, what we can't turn our backs to vote him. You know, I mean, the perfect perfectionist. How do we know the ability for them to fool us, whether they're Democrat or Republican? And that's why I keep saying we got to get away from that binge about let's just vote this, let's just vote in, and we know that he's in there, so we know the better marketplace would be as far as our Social Security not being taken away, our health would be someone from a Democratic. I could even have the sense enough to say it, and I don't ride with either one. I'm not going to rally around the Dodger boys or neither one of them. I think both parties are thing. They don't have sense enough to get together. All you hear on C-SPAN is a bunch of division between the two parties with their mouths going like little children making total idiots of them, so far as I'm concerned, because they don't want to ever be where they're going to be bipartisan. This man, at least in there, at least they were able to make bipartisan decisions from George Bush Jr. And others, you know, Clinton, every one of these presidents before.
Hello. I think we lost. I don't know what happened with Mr. Richardson. All right, let me go back. We'll try to get that straight. Let's go to Still Bill. I think we got Still Bill in Cincinnati, Ohio. Still Bill.
Lord is man, I rejoice to be glad in it. Good afternoon, Reverend.
Good afternoon.
I want to give condolence to the Jackson family. I know him for quite some time. He was sick. In fact, that he had Parkinson's. There's no person getting sick. A lot of that is due to and he lived a good life, I felt. He put his life on the line just as Martin has done, just as Malcolm has done, just as Megan's done. And, I mean, I don't agree with everything. You know what? If he was here, I would walk up to him and give him his props and show him how much I appreciate what he has done. I mean, Operation Push, I hope it goes on. And, you know, I mean, it is definitely lost. And I just want to give condolences to his family. I just want to give Ware and the staff of the Buzz, WBBZ, 12:30 a.m. I also want to ask you about August Wilson.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about August Wilson?
Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know he did some very provocative plays.
Okay. I was asked to ask about him by a friend. She listens to your show too. And yes, I will watch Politics Nation. Again, it is a very intriguing show. And as always, you do a stellar job. And I praise you. And to Dominique Sharp, keep it real.
All right, I'll tell her. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
Baby face. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, we'll be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can only thank you. I always want to do this, Michael Jackson. I love you too. Sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me to standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old. I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places before I was 5 years old that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes, and I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because of those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before, and so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life, and to never think that it's all about me. And so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart. And I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger.
I have 1-877-532-5797, and of course you can go to the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. I see Destined Forever to Live says, greetings, Reverend Al, and everyone on the road, but now tuned in. My condolences to the Jackson family and to you, Reverend Al. I appreciate your condolences. I'm sure the family does as well, and you be careful on the road. Let's go to Jackson in Maryland. Jackson, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, how you doing today, Reverend Al? I just got 2 quick questions.
All
right. The first question is, I want to piggyback off what you said earlier about votes. With that, around that Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore County area, almost every. So all of African American people that I knew that voted, they always said that they was going to Democrats. So we all knew what to expect. It wasn't going to be. There was never anybody that was African American that voted outside of that. Now, if it was, they didn't live out this, and they might have voted independent, or they might have voted Republican, or it might have been, somebody maybe that you knew that was against things, that kind of talked crazy about politics that was a little bit different, that might have voted independent or Republican, and ain't nobody want to hear that. They say to that person that's in your family, or that your family knew, or that you knew, they say something like, they say something with that bull. You know what I'm saying? They want to hear, that ain't what that person be talking. So, that, and I go a little bit further than that. There was a lot of Italians, Jewish, like the lady said earlier, and Irish people that I knew. They also voted Democrat too at that time. Now, they definitely changed, though, but I still think most, as that I know, were like we talk. You don't even have to say what to vote for. Now, with the last, so I have a lot of people that's in my family that are religious, and we always, we used to always talk about different denominations and why we believe in them, right? So this within the span of Christianity. Now, we used to always agree or find some type of footing to agree, but it was always one topic that we couldn't agree on, and it was like the seventh-day Sabbath, right? Because my father and I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, so we believe in the Seventh-day Sabbath, and our other family members, they are not Seventh-day Adventists, and it's like that we always had a problem with that in the question that if they find out by studying the Bible that the seventh day Sabbath is still far as relevant today, would they change from going to church on Sunday versus Saturday? And they said they would, but a lot of them agreed with that it still goes on, that it's still relevant, but they still haven't changed the way. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that, and do you think the seventh-day Sabbath is still relevant? Those are my 2 questions. The first one was about Democrats. Like I believe a lot of African Americans are Democrats. Like it goes without saying. We already know. So it's almost religious because died and shed blood to give us the right to vote. So we already know that. Now, the religious part is a lot of people that I know that's not religious that made the move from down south to up north. They stopped being religious because they wasn't down south no more. So they came up north, they changed stuff like that, got away from their family. But in my family, there's a lot of options. So, and like my immediate family, we are Seventh-day Adventists. And so when we always talk about the word, the Bible, God, that the Bible talks about, you know, ability to come to some type of agreement with our different interpretations of it, or if we disagree. And that's the seventh-day Sabbath, which is the fourth. The question was always thrown to them is, if they study the Bible and they find out that the seventh-day Sabbath is still relevant, right? You know, so it's like the first commandment, like when God created the earth, he blessed the seventh day, made it holy. He said, remember this day. You know what I'm saying? This is before the Sabbath. But anyway, my whole point is how do you feel about it? So those are my two. Right now?
Yes.
Yes, those are my two questions.
Well, I think, let me put it this way. I was reading a statement they just released from the Congressional Black Caucus, and they are now taking an adamant position on the State of the Union address and on the ICE bill, on ICE not being funded. So I was trying to read to the end to see if how many of them now are going to boycott or whatever. So go ahead, repeat your question because I was reading.
Okay, I have two questions. The first question is about, I agree with the lady that, like, the lady that always called, she was like a...
Oh, yeah, I heard you say that
earlier than the next,
about
right?
Jews and voting Democratic. I heard you ask that.
No. Like, it wasn't about them voting, even though she might have been talking about that. I was saying that I do agree with her that a lot of African Americans, when they vote, at least the ones that I know, they vote Democrat. It goes without saying. Now, only the ones that, you know, like, that they talk strange and don't nobody want to hear them talk, they might vote outside of that, like Republican or independent, or they might not vote, right? But we know even without even saying, right? Like, so I don't have to tell my buddy how he gonna vote for. Now, if he don't vote that way, he'll tell me before he vote, like Dad said before, well, I'm going with this person or that person, just to throw it out there to see what you think. You know what I'm saying? Probably not to vote for that person, like vote. To vote for some type of Democrat. And the second one was like a tradition that most religious people do, especially when they from different denominations. Like, you know, so when they family and friends, right? A lot of times y'all get together and y'all might talk about the word, you know what I'm saying? So y'all conclusion to agree on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I see what you say, even though this is how, right? But it was one thing that we always had a problem with, and then we came to the conclusion, okay, if you find out that the seventh-day Sabbath is no longer relevant, would you still honor the seventh-day Sabbath? If you find out that the seventh-day Sabbath is still accurate, still relevant, would you change as far as from going to church on Sunday to Saturday? Because we all knew back in the day, change the day of worship, right? To help to control the people. So it was never Sunday. So there's nowhere in the Bible where God changed that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, without getting to all that, I want to know how do you feel to questions that I had. One about African Americans, more African Americans piggybacking off the lady, and the second one is about if you come to that the proper day of worship is Saturday versus Sunday, would you change?
Well, I think first of all, I think that in terms of African Americans voting Democrat, African Americans voted majority Republican until the 1960s. My parents were both Republicans. Jackie Robinson, who broke the color line in baseball, was a Republican. Blacks started voting Democratic in the 60s when Kennedy and Johnson supported the Civil Rights Act. So I think black people are as intelligent as anybody else in America. They vote their interests. We vote and support. It's that simple. We're not born with Democrat on our forehead or Republican. We're all born black. When you say black people, you got to deal with who's the right person or persons for us and our interests. Automatic to me.
Okay, and my second question was about the 77.
I think that there you go into interpretation, and some say the Sabbath came out of the scriptures for Sunday, and that God rested on the seventh day. Some interpret the scriptures saying it was Saturday and that Constantine changed it. I've always felt that these were semantical arguments. The question to me is, whatever Sabbath you believe in, do you do something on that Sabbath that shows your reverence for the Sabbath? So if you've got two people out there, Jack, that don't do anything holy on either Saturday or Sunday, then they're arguing about nothing. And I refuse to get in that argument. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers is.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopped. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to pay for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attended convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year, and be focused. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability.
On the worship thing.
Yes.
That the brother just talked about real briefly.
Yes.
You know, the idea that there's an argument over worship. I mean, what is it that you're doing on that day? Like, what is it that you're doing? So we're over whether we should or acknowledge God on Sunday, or acknowledge God on Saturday, acknowledge God on Friday. What is that you acknowledge God? What makes Friday, Saturday, Sunday any better? There's 24 hours in both days, Sunday or Monday. So the idea, that becoming an issue in our faith, really is asinine to me, to be honest with you.
Right.
If you measure that it's worship. So is God going to deny mine, do it on Friday, deny yours if you do it on Saturday, and deny yours because you do it on Sunday? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? The idea that worship and what you're doing in that worship, and if we're doing the worship, if we're worshiping, that is the work, practice, etc. It doesn't matter. Matter of fact, the whole idea is that if you do it on Sunday, you should be able to do it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday. You know,
exactly.
I just want to throw that in there. And Jackson, I think the tribute that you, the one that President Obama has paid to Reverend Jackson, is the standard. And I want to say it because of this. The president said human history. You know what I mean? His contribution to human history. Then you talk about his overall contribution. And earlier, a young lady said, somebody asked you a question about leadership in the SCLC. Let's leave from that time when the Reverend Dr. King left up until yesterday, or day before yesterday. This day Reverend Jackson passed away. That period of time, who was the leader? When we go from the time Reverend Dr. King died to today, Reverend Jackson has an impact politically, financially, educationally, socially, international issues. He's contributed in all of those areas.
Right.
He sets the standard, you know what I mean, where it has proven that he was the right man for that situation or the leadership. And when the leadership didn't, he might have thought it did, he did the next best thing. He wanted to keep the leadership going.
That's right.
Most of the other ones, no disrespect in the areas. Reverend Jackson was special in all of the areas. Every one of them. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. And see,
And then
and we get in, and I want you to finish, but we get in trivial questions because I was at an event last night. Over to me and said, Reverend Sharp, sorry to hear about the death of your mentor. I was arguing with my cousin. He said that well, now Sharpton's gonna have to step up. I don't know if he's ready to step up. I said, wait a minute. First of all, I've been out here 50 years, and even when Reverend Jackson was sick, I was stepping up. He taught me how to step up. I said, and so be that light that somebody, you just start seeing somebody that's been out there 50 years, something wrong with you. I didn't just get started now. And Reverend Jackson helped train me. It's almost like a Muslim. It's almost like people would say, well, was Malcolm or Minister Farrakhan as wise as Elijah Muhammad? He taught them. Petition. There was a continuation. And how are people that never been to class discuss the teacher or the pupil?
That's right.
When you a dropout, talking about the smartest student or the teacher. You don't even know the lesson.
That's right. And also the when you see your life, when I see your contribution, it's in all of those categories. So you learn well from your mentor.
That's right.
Your mentor.
Right.
You know what I mean? You address politically, you address financial, you address social, you address every issue. And like you said, you're continuing the struggle because like you say all the time, the struggle still continues.
That's
period.
Right.
In with this one, the idea of perfection should never end our conversation because the state's supposed to judge each other by all of these religions is not perfection. Govern ourselves by is good. You know what I mean? So I would never even mention in this particular way, he having problems, but now when I measure Reverend Jackson's, if I put it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I got 10 on the positive side, and I got 1 on the negative side, and the 10 way outweigh that. We mention the 1.
That's right.
If I have any decency about it, I wouldn't say that in the triviality, or whatever that word is, in the comparison, in the measurement, when we ourselves can't live up to the concept of perfection, and in the small things that we have to do, and the light burden that we're carrying just being a citizen. You know what I mean? Global leader, like the president said, a human. Now, President Obama.
Right. Obama.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that right behind the Dr. Honorable, as they say, Jesse Lewis Jackson on the coattail, right, stepping right behind, and you chasing them right behind them.
And
you know what I mean?
And that's the continuation. Reverend Jackson was mentored by Dr. King. I was mentored. Now, the only ones that can grade papers when I was graded by Reverend Jackson, I would not be graded by people.
No way. No way. And I thank you very much for doing. And also, I'm going to say this too. Reverend Jackson, preacher.
Yep.
Reverend Jackson was a preacher.
Yep.
And Sharpton is a preacher. But they specialize in civil rights.
Right.
They specialize in civil rights.
Right.
They specialize in civil rights. So stop trying to hold them to some moral perfection that we didn't even hold ourselves to.
Right.
Thank you very much.
That is not what we ever represent. You're Correct. And I
That's
thank
correct.
you for your call. And they're different kind of ministers. T.D. Jakes, but he has a different kind of minister. He and I relate. So don't go in algebra class giving our science tests. We do the same thing, but we in different focuses, different. And I think that Brother Jihad has always of things that needed to be said, because all of that kind of stuff. A lady said to me, "Well, you and Reverend Jackson, that equals." I said, "If I say he, by definition, I'm saying he taught me. He had to be smarter than me to teach me. Now, listen, if I did, then I'm smarter than you, because if you was asking a dumb question, I'm not calling you dumb, but your question is dumb. If somebody says I'm the student, they the teacher, the teacher got information they didn't have. And go forward when the teacher's not there." Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Think about that. Real, that's what I do. Shopton, that's my name.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New York.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, "You know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God."
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because
it's time for a new course.
532-5797. And don't forget, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 every Saturday and Sunday on MS Now. And with the State of the Union coming up and some members of Congress boycotting it, with the question, voting redistricting, and with the question of the partial shutdown of government, It is important you watch it this weekend because I'm going to have members of the Senate and the Congress on to tell me what y'all going to do. Are y'all boycotting or not? Y'all going to sit up there and hear the State of the Union or not? Y'all going to force his hand before Tuesday night and I'm going Saturday and Sunday or not? So certainly it's an important weekend to stay tuned in. Also, we're going to deal with the whole question of Affordable Care Act that people seem to forget as just because it's not in the headline. Certainly going to deal with the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson and have members of his family on and my own assessment. It's going to be a very, very, very important weekend for you to and get your friends to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, both Saturday and Sunday. Then you in the tri-state area, make sure you come. It will be a memorial, Northeast Memorial for Reverend Jesse Jackson. A National Action Network Saturday rally will be committed to him. I've invited the elected officials and others to come pay tribute. The last organizational rally he spoke at in New York was National Action Network. He named it the House of Justice. And I wanted on the first Saturday after his death to make sure it is a banner day. And you should be there. It's a historic day. Bring your kids as we have those in office and those key ministers and all of us honor the life and legacy of Dr. King and Reverend Jackson. But on this Saturday, Reverend Jackson, and by then we'll know when the funeral services are, but the New York Memorial will be on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th Street, between Lenox and 7th, 9 a.m. to 11 this Saturday. You that can't get to New York can watch it live on Impact Television, or you can watch it on YouTube/NAN, or you can watch it at nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream. Make sure you tune in. I want thousands of us online and hundreds of us at the rally so people will see and say that they can know that they were there on this historic day. So make sure all of you listening to me around the country radio, be in New York if you can Saturday for the Saturday Action Rally. Mother AME Zion Church, it's our memorial to Reverend Jesse Jackson. It's very, very important. And by then, I've been talking every day to Yusef and Jesse Jr. We'll know the funeral arrangements. But the last place Jesse spoke in New York was at National Action Network. And I want to see that place full on this Saturday. I'm invited all the elected officials. In fact, the mayor last night texted me and said that today they were having the flags at half-staff in New York in memory of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And I was so, I couldn't wait. I think I texted the mayor back. I'm not sure. I was so busy calling Mrs. Jackson to tell her that the flags today were going to be half-staff in New York because of Mayor Mandani. And it's ironic, I think it was Thanksgiving Day, not Christmas, Thanksgiving Day. We were in my office at the House of Justice where we moved from, and I got Reverend Jackson on the phone, and Mandani and Tish James and others were in the room, all spoke to him. He could barely speak, but I wanted all of them to speak to him. And Mandani, I think, said to him, "You were the bridge. You were the one that brought us across," or something to that effect. So he can honestly say, I don't know if he said it today when he did the half bringing the flags down, but he can say he spoke to Jesse Jackson because he did. Outstanding. I got Reverend Jackson on the phone. So I want everybody to be there Saturday. And also, then convention, we have 4,700 people signed up already. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. I'm cutting it off at 5,000. We had 10,000 people last year because it's free. Every workshop. I can tell you, everybody that is somebody will be there with us. Make sure you sign up now. I'm not releasing the name of the panelists and speakers until next few days. Sign up now. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let me go back to the phone. Let me go to Woody in Philadelphia. Woody? Are you there, Woody? I do not hear Woody.
Back.
All right. Let me that one of the Jacksons was calling me. I think they're trying to get on the radio show. I know they'll be on the television show me this weekend. A lot of people are caught up rather than vision. What we must do is, whether it's Brandon, for you there listening, Johnson, whether it's the mayor of Atlanta for AOK in Atlanta, whether it's Zoran Mandani, we must help them govern. Every back and just critiquing and not helping people that we put in office for us, just immature in how we are dealing with the whole political question. We just need to be very careful how we do what we do. We do it. And a lot of us disrupting what we to do. We should be proud. Brandon Scott in Baltimore, Johnson in Chicago, Mandani in New York. We put them there, and we should help them do the job. And, all these shots people take, I really do, to not get into the gutter with these people. But, because they take unfair shots. But don't know how to get in the gutter now. I try to be a nice guy, but all these things about what somebody ought to be doing, and they've been there not even 2 months. I mean, what is the end goal of that? Where are you trying to go with this? I get up this morning, people texting me stuff, folks writing about Zoran Mandani and the black agenda. The man took office January 1st. What are we talking about? Reached out to him, he was there. And you got folks that want to critique everybody. So I'm actually Memorial at our Saturday rally. I'm going to light some stuff up. Mary Sheffield just got elected in Detroit. She barely got her hand off the Bible. What about this? What about that? What about us, the wheel, in making this work? I saw that happen to Barack Obama. For 8 years, people were riding him, downing him, and some of them black folks, some of them y'all country. And it is just detrimental to our community. I'll put it that way. And I used to tell the President Obama when he was in office, you ain't got to answer them. Let me fight them. And some of y'all saw on TV, I had to get on the mat and fight a few. That's part of what I do. But it's necessary because you're messing up the bigger picture that we need. We do not get these opportunities but every once in a while. And when we do, we should not forfeit ourselves. All right, I'm getting ready to go. I see my time has run out. Thank you all for your calls, your texts. Don't forget, time, same 3 hours. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.